Well, good morning. Welcome to Pyjama Preaching for Wednesday the 27th of January. And it is indeed Wednesday the 27th of January at 6:15, so I'm just recording it now. And we're looking at the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verses 41 through to the end of that chapter 44. And it's all about the widow's mite. And I could hold up and say, there is a widow's mite. And actually, I should be able to hold up a widow's mite. This one is penny. And I think the widow's mite was even smaller. When I was in the Holy Land many moons ago, we were walking along Hezekiah's tunnel, and there was an archaeologist there who showed me a widow's mite, the little tiny coin with a wheat sheaf or sheaf of some form of crop on it. Tiny, tiny, so thin. And he sold it to me for, I don't know what, a few euros, whatever, shekels, whatever he wanted. And I brought it home and put it in a little tiny plastic folder to keep it really safe. And you know what? It's so really safe, I can't find it. So, Jesus sat for a while, watching people coming and going in the temple courts, putting money in the collection box. Rich people would carelessly toss in a wad of notes, keen for people to notice and admire them. But Jesus spotted an old widow, poor as a church mouse, who quietly slipped a couple of coins into the box. Did you see that? Jesus asked his followers. She's made the biggest single contribution of the day. All the others can afford to give big and still have stacks of money left. Their giving has hardly cost them anything. But this woman had given God all that she had. And so between the court of the Gentiles and the court of the women, there was the gate beautiful. It may well be that Jesus had gone there to sit quietly after the argument and the tension of the court of the Gentiles and the discussions in the cloisters that we've read about over the last few days. In the court of the women, there were 13 collecting boxes called the trumpets because they were so shaped. Each of them was for a special purpose. One, for instance, was to buy corn or wine or oil for the sacrifices. There were contributions for daily sacrifices and expenses of the temple. And many people threw in quite considerable contributions. But then came a widow. She flung in 2 mites. The coin so called was a lepton, which literally means a thin one. It was the smallest of all the coins. And yet Jesus said that her tiny contribution was greater than all of the others, for the others had thrown in what they could spare easily enough and still have plenty left, while the widow had flung in everything she had. COVID and lockdown has changed an awful lot in our society. The poorer have become poorer, and even some of the not so rich have struggled now. And it's continuing to become a struggle for many people. But Jesus' lessoning is actually to say that real giving must be sacrificial. The amount of the gift never matters so much as its cost to the giver. So it's generosity until it hurts. For many of us, the real question is if ever our giving to God's work is sacrifice at all. Few people do without their sacrifices and pleasures to give a little more to the work of God. It may well be a sign of the decadence of the church and the failure of our Christianity that gifts have to be coaxed out of church people. And actually now, with lots of churches on Zoom and people not going in and not putting their coins in the collecting box, churches are now using PayPal click buttons to get people to make donations. And I'm sure there are a lot of people still who are making direct debit contributions to churches. Because at the end of the day, the costs of keeping bricks and mortar still going and paying the vicar is still all there. So some people will think that they won't give unless they get something back in return. And that's the subject of the prosperity gospel that's preached in some circles. And maybe one day we'll talk about that. But certainly we give without expectation of anything because we give it for the love of Jesus. But real giving has a certain recklessness in it as well. The woman might have actually kept one of the coins. I could actually, for illustration, because I've got 2 pennies, I could have held up 2 coins. But the woman kept one of them. But it wouldn't have been much just giving 1 coin, but it would have been something. Yet she gave, drop one, everything she had. So there's a great symbolic truth here. It's our tragedy that there is so often some part of our life, some part of our activities, some part of ourselves which we don't give to Christ. Somehow is nearly always something we hold back. We rarely make the final sacrifice or the final surrender. It's not necessarily money gifts. It's gifts of your time, gifts of your love, gifts of your prayers. Barclay concludes, it is a strange and lovely thing that the person whom the New Testament and Jesus hand down to history as a pattern of generosity was a person who gave a gift of so little value in monetary terms. We may feel that we've not much in the way of material gifts or personal gifts to give Christ, but if we put all that we have and are at his disposal, he can do things with it and with us that are beyond our imaginings. And I found a hymn written by a Christian songwriter, Maher, and I'll put the words in the description down the bottom so that you can look at it. Can I ask you, if you are looking on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel so that you see the videos when they appear. And apparently there's a bell symbol that you can click and it will then send you an email, but don't worry about that. But if you click on the subscribe, then I can see how many people are actually looking at the channel and keep doing what I'm doing. But anyway, I digress. The words of the hymn. And this is our prayer. I stand in awe of you. And everything you've done for me, you speak your words into my life. And where you are is where I want to be. I stand before you, Lord, humbled by the love you gave away. A widow's mite, my will and pride, is all I have to offer anyway. I'm holding on to your love and letting go of myself. I'll say so long to everything else. I stand in awe of you. And everything you've done for me, you speak the words into my life. And where you are is where I want to be. Amen. Be blessed today. Think of the widow's mite. Think of me now foraging around to try and find the penny that's dropped between my computer desk and my filing cabinet and the power cords and the cables. God bless you. Bye.